I'm here to earn your trust, to lead that fight. I'm back home in Edmonton to declare Prime Minister of Canada.
Grounded TV.
Wow. I'm touched. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Irene, fellow FX grad. Thank you all. Welcome to Edmonton. It is great to be here. My name's Mark. I was born in Fort Smith, and I've been in the room next door many times. You know, picture this scene. Pack of kids, team of kids, mites and house league, go in there, get their gear on, go out on the ice.
Oh,
Go back in between the second and third period.
Trying to sound normal.
I can still hear the blades of the skates.
Hey, this is literally just, I'm a normal guy. Like, that's what I got from this.
I don't even know where he's going yet. You're
sorry. I know. I'm
Relax,
sorry.
buddy.
I know. I'll chill out.
Tapping on the floor as we try to get the blood flowing into
I was going to say he speaks a lot more naturally than Trudeau is able to do.
This is why they're afraid of him, right? He's
Like,
probably one of the most well-spoken liberals, but still, he's not a normal guy. Like, he's not. Like, he's grew up wealthy, went to
No, he's a
prestigious
globalist
schools.
banker.
Yeah,
It's a liberal's wet dream. Come on.
He's a big suit. That's what he is.
January day, like today in Edmonton when I was playing hockey. I'll tell you
He's
that.
a Harvard and Oxford graduated economist who ran banks.
I'm gonna play croquet.
I wouldn't have been there if it hadn't.
He's
been for the
everything
love
that
and
some
the
people
support
hate, and then the embodiment
Daddy, this
of
school is not good enough. I need a new one. Yes, sir. Yes.
of my parents. That was.
He's from
unwavering.
Alberta. I don't think he's got a
Also
British
supported
accent.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes
it's a rich
by
person.
my brothers
A little bit.
who are here
Okay.
today.
Belair.
And I wouldn't have been there without all of the volunteers who coached the team.
If he says he's going to cut the carbon tax, what's going to happen? What's Pierre going to run on?
Fair enough, Kane. Is any politician a normal guy? Definitely
Yeah,
not.
true.
Who built the boards in the fall, who flooded and scraped the ice, and who drove us across the city to rinks like this so we could beat our opponents from Elmwood to Rio Terrace, Jasper Place. You're all here and you know it. You can't say it. I got the mic. I'm going to just assert that we did. And you know, community is one of the main things when I think of Edmonton. My communities, Laurier Heights, the West End, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Communities where people come together to face challenges in support of one another, to get things done, and to build.
Justice is writing his memoir in the background.
Sorry.
La communauté,
I'm just taking notes.
c'est à ça que je pense quand je pense à Edmonton. Mes communautés, Laurier Heights, le West End, Edmonton, l'Alberta et le Canada. Les gens qui s'unissent face aux défis pour se
That's some
soutenir,
good French.
pour accomplir
Holy.
les choses et pour bâtir. C'est qui nous sommes.
Maybe
en
they're
tant
right.
que
Maybe he is
Canadiens
European.
et Canadiennes. Anything but the system, it's not working as it should. And it's not working as it could. People are anxious. No wonder. Too many are falling behind. Too many young people can't afford a home. Too many people can't find
2
a doctor.
cents.
And then we're living through the two biggest technological revolutions since they split the atom. And our climate is
Look
changing
at all
in
those
ways
small
that
town,
threatens
old stock
livelihoods from
Canadians
Fort Mac
behind
to
him. I'm
Fort
pretty sure
Smith.
those are mostly
And
MPs.
then on top of that,
Yeah, they're liberal MPs, I believe. That one is behind her. And despite
All three of these
she's a
people
liberal
are,
MP.
aren't they?
He's a liberal MP. I only recognize the two right behind him. I don't see
Isn't
the
that
rest of the
lady
camera
one
shot.
too on the right?
I don't know. I don't know who she is.
I think she is.
Never
Maybe
seen her
not.
before. Maybe provincially or a mayor of some sort or something. Or she's just part of the DEI background.
as George just mentioned, in just 4 days, the United States will swear in Donald Trump as their 47th president, a man who threatens economic force on his closest, most
Oh no, those are the
steadfast
other types of liberals,
allies,
Genghis Khan. I love
including
old rich
Canada.
white guys.
Non. Cette époque n'est pas ordinaire. C'est pourquoi nous sommes ici aujourd'hui. Pour faire ce que nous, les gens d'Edmonton et des Canadiens et des Canadiennes, faisons toujours dans des situations difficiles. On se rassemble. On
He's like,
fait
I'm going to
un
make
plan
sure that we get the bugs
et on se
and the
bat.
owning nothing and the you will be happy.
I'm here to ask for your support. I'm here to earn your trust, to lead that fight. I'm back home in Edmonton to declare
Going to bring out my personal
candidacy
friend, Klaus
for
Schwab.
leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada.
Oh, who would have saw this coming?
Je suis ici.
Let me just get the formal quote there for a sec.
For leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada.
Sorry, I thought I missed what he said
I'm in
there.
Edmonton to declare my candidacy for leader of the Liberal Party.
He said he was best
And
friends with
Prime
Klaus
Minister
Schwab and he was going to
of
make us
Canada.
all eat bugs and own nothing and be happy.
Je suis ici.
And Sharia law as well.
Merci. Je suis ici. Je suis ici pour demander votre appui, pour gagner votre confiance et mener ce combat. Je suis de retour
I don't
chez
think
moi
he should even
à
bother with the
Edmonton
regular
pour
guy
déclarer
BS. He should just
ma
say, like, I'm
candidature.
literally a banker. Like, I've ran the Bank of Canada, I've ran the Bank of England. You can elect this self-proclaimed libertarian, or you can elect a guy who actually went to school for economics. That's how we should run it, in my opinion. Don't even bother with this small town folksy relatable BS. Just go straight into it. Just be like, I'm more educated
He's trying
than this guy.
to say, he's trying to emphasize where he's from. Because, yeah, where he's from is traditionally that kind of environment, but I don't think that's who he really was or grew up as. And I think that he's just trying to give off this image of like, hey, I'm a normal guy. Like, that's about it, right?
AJD, this guy's taking a huge pay cut to become PM. Like, he makes over $1 million a year. Like, he's overqualified compared to most other prime minister candidates that we have. That guy makes a lot of money without it.
Comme chef du Parti libéral et Premier ministre.
He sits
du
on the board of
Canada.
directors, so I'll make all the jokes you like. Yeah, exactly, Terry. Say tell us you're better than me.
And I'm doing this because I love our country. I'm grateful for what our grandparents and parents built for us. I'm proud of what we've built for each other. A great country built on hard work and the right values. I'm doing this because Canada is the best country in the world,
I don't know.
but it's
I feel like
still
his record
good.
shows that he clearly does have some level of idea what he's talking about. I don't think you get to be the governor general of the bank just because you went to the school. You have to actually have results.
Yeah, just because you know what you're talking about doesn't mean you have good intentions either. It doesn't mean you're not maybe a little bit idealistic and authoritarian. I guess that's my argument. It's like, I don't care how educated
sure, but
you
I mean,
are.
just because somebody's like,
If anything, that's actually
saying
more.
that they're gonna make everything more affordable doesn't mean they necessarily know how to do that either.
I get what you're saying, but I think time's gonna. Pierre's already earned his shot, and I think only time's gonna tell whether or
I
not
still
that's
think
deserved or not.
this is going to be an uphill battle. I don't think he can do it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think no matter how good he is, he's not going to be able to do it. It's going to be Pierre Poilievre's next prime minister, regardless of what Mark Carney does. I think at this point, I think if anything, he's just securing official opposition. That's it.
Mm-hmm. He should go do work the drive-through at McDonald's and sit in a garbage truck. That's how the last guy was able to do it. The last elitist was able to relate to the working man.
Fair enough. I guess I can't. It's not. He's an elitist too. Trump is. He's just.
I'm doing this because we face unprecedented challenges. And as I learned on the ice out there, when it's cold,
yes, he needs to remind everybody, I played hockey. I'm a normal guy.
When your opponent is tough, you have to step up. Now, I know I'm not the usual suspect when it comes to politics. But this is no time for politics as usual. No, it's not the time for lifelong politicians such as Pierre Poilievre.
And a lifelong banker like you is going to help us.
Politicians with bad ideas.
Really?
Naive and dangerous ideas.
I mean, the ones that you advise. You were the idea man for the Liberals. Whether or not they listen to you, we don't know. Whether or not for sure how much percentage of all their policies was you're doing, we don't know the exact answer. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just.
And I think the worst, his worst, is that Canada is broken. Canada's broken was one of Pierre Poilievre's many three-word slogans, and it couldn't be more dangerous. Now, in the UK, I saw firsthand what happened there after years of conservatives shouting that their country was broken. Conservatives don't run around saying Canada's broken because they want to fix it. They want a license to demolish and destroy, including many of the things on which we all and regular people depend.
See, again, we all and regular people. It's like trying to lump you in with regular people.
Because populists don't understand how the economy and our society actually works. Their three-word sound bites won't solve problems, but they will hurt regular people. And there are many differences between me and Pierre Poilievre. But
yeah, you don't need to tell us that, buddy.
But I'll give you a big one. Well, I'm focused on building our economy. He's out chasing endorsements from Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
What? He didn't once chase an endorsement. This is what I mean. Like the only reason Poilievre has gotten such a spotlight is because of how bad Trudeau is and how incompetent he is. Trudeau's incompetence and idiocy has led to a spotlight on Canada, which has shown people like Pierre Poilievre, and he's part of what they call of this global conservative populist movement. We see it's happening in Germany, France, other countries where these parties are kind of rising up and getting popular. What do you mean?
Because in UK, it was a right-wing party that got ousted.
Yeah,
right,
no, 100%. But like, I'm not a big fan of everything the Harper administration did.
Anybody who was in charge during COVID got blamed for the inflation.
I'm just saying there were things the Harper administration also did, right? That isn't necessarily all good. And we need to remind ourselves of that. There's going to be some bad that'll come. Like there's pros and cons with every leader or in every political party. Just we need to make sure the pros outweigh the cons. And I think with the Liberals for a long time, the pros have not outweighed the cons. And that's why we're having such difficulties. That's why everyone doesn't like them. That's why everyone's sick and tired of it. And it doesn't matter if Mark Carney takes the reins. Even if he does get elected, I think Great Dominion was saying he thinks that Chrystia Freeland's going to be selected as leader, which is
Elon
possible
Musk
too, but
did endorse Poilievre, didn't he?
He did, but it's not like he went out chasing an endorsement. The thing is that all these guys,
if he did get an endorsement
they've all
from
like
those
become
guys,
influencers almost, and they're just trying to connect each other's images together. I don't think Pierre's part of that, but I think he got roped in by Elon and whoever's on his PR team trying to connect them all together because Pierre's also really well liked. He's like extremely popular in Canada right now, right?
For certain people, he is. He doesn't.
No,
I don't
just
know
in
how
general
well
polling
he's
across the
reaching into
country.
Reagan.
In the federal voting intention polls for months, he's been ahead by 25 points plus.
Again, I think Justin Trudeau's popularity factors into that at least a little bit. I would be really interested to see what the difference is going to be once they've selected a new leader.
I think it's the liberal dissatisfaction outweighs the Trudeau satisfaction, or is just as heavy or lumped in together with. I just don't think that he's going to be able to shake it all off and act like it's none of his ideas, none of his responsibilities.
I think that Carney's definitely going to have a better time than Kamala Harris did, because Kamala Harris was not very knowledgeable on economic stuff, and a lot of the biggest things she said that made people upset were things like unrealized capital gains tax and stuff, where it's like, have you ever read a book before? Like, what are you talking about? And Carney's not going to do stuff like that, because he does at least somewhat know what he's talking about, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Like Trudeau, I honestly don't know if he's ever read a book before. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know. Like, maybe the little engine that could, but he had it rewritten as the little prime minister that could. But anyways, or couldn't, I guess, but in the end of the day. But besides the point, let's get back to this. This is live. Let's not interrupt it too much. We are 10, 15 minutes behind the live feed now, guys. Just in time for French.
Now, just as Pierre Poilievre's soundbites won't deliver for Canadians, we can't achieve our full potential.
Oh, he got me with the relaxed collar railroaded. I thought this guy worked in construction.
That's what I mean. It's like, I put my skates on just like you guys. And it's like, yeah, it is ridiculous. But anyways, I think the best point is
speech at all.
What politician is normal? It's just who can fake it better. That's it, really.
Hockey's like kind of a rich kid sport anyways, like it's not really the most relatable
honestly
thing.
That is 100% true. Like, that's 100% true. Yeah. Like, it's freaking expensive. Like, I was looking into it recently, like, my kid's expressing a want to participate in hockey, and I'm like, oh yeah.
You also need to take a lot of time off. You need to take a lot of time off work to get your kids to the games. You got to drive a lot. It's like a commitment.
Well, it depends on how serious you're getting, right?
A full-time stay-at-home parent to be able to play.
They too often see government as the solution to every problem, with a reflex to spend and subsidize that just treats the symptoms of the problems, but doesn't cure the disease. We can't redistribute what we don't have.
Great Dominion, we agree.
And we can't support the vulnerable in our society or defend this great country if we have a weak economy. And I'm here.
What do you mean by putting my money on the horse, Luca?
Yeah, Saul was betting money on Polymarket for the presidential election. I'm pretty sure he will be. And in the elections, we'll probably end up putting small bets just out of principle on who we think's going to win.
Money. I only bet money if the odds are like crazy. Like the reason I bet money on Biden last time was because the odds were like 20-1, and I was like, okay, there's no way the odds are that unfavorable. But he ended up dropping out, so I lost the money. I told myself, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore.
The strongest.
That was me dipping my toes in the water.
For all Canadians.
I might, though, for the sake of the show. We can do a bet on it.
Together. And build it together. Yes, Canada needs change, but not just any change. We need change that works for people, and we've never needed it more. So if you remember one thing from what I say today, remember this. I am going to be completely focused on getting our economy back on track.
That's the message. He's saying
and
everything right.
This is what I mean. Is like, at least he's a liberal that can admit the economy is not one of the leaders in the G7. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you hear all their talk about we're one of the G7 leaders. It's not that bad. At least he can admit it's bad. And you know what I mean? And that's one thing why he is scary, because he is not pretending there's no problem. He's just, you can argue who's responsible for the problem. However, He's acknowledging it exists. He's not pretending the oversized elephant that's squishing everybody against the wall isn't there, like Trudeau's party was.
I have a feeling like if they've got stuff in the chamber too to attack Polyev with that hasn't been brought out yet, like he's got a chance to do a
It's
lot.
gonna
He'll
have
do
to be,
better than
like I
Trudeau would
said,
have for sure.
Polyev would had to have been at a Diddy party for it to ruin his campaign at this point, I think, or on
Wouldn't
Epstein's
that
flight
be the
list. And
twist?
even then,
Wouldn't that be the twist?
or
No one would
both.
believe it.
Or, he's the one who was in the jail cell with Epstein. You don't need to be something crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point.
Well, actually, that I just feel like it depends on who tells people the
He's
message.
ex-KGB.
Because, I mean,
He's ex-KGB or something. I feel something just wild out there for it to ruin him at this point, I think.
And if you want,
And yes, great to me. And allegedly, he's been advising and consulting the Liberal government during the COVID crisis and other things since 2020.
That's-
Periodically, probably. I don't know about full time or whatnot. They spent a lot of money on
yeah,
consultants.
you would never be full time.
He took a lot of
wouldn't be full time.
He took a lot of government money. That's one thing we know.
Yeah, you should if you're being paid for it, paid as a consultant.
Yeah.
You're being paid for your expertise. You're
Whether or not
probably
they
taking
listened
time off
to
work
his
go do it.
advice is another thing, though. I
Yeah,
guess.
I don't know. I just feel like some of his policies were so stupid and ill-informed that I have a hard time believing he was listening to anybody. I don't even think he was listening to Krista Freeland.
wonder why I can succeed where others have failed or will fall short, consider this. I've helped manage multiple crises, and I've helped save 2 economies. I know how business works, and I know how to make it work
I had dinner with the Pope.
for you.
Sorry, I'll stop.
I've worked around the world, but I'm grounded in what I learned right here in Edmonton.
Oh, we got a
To be
shout out to the show.
Oh, yeah, Saul, you didn't coin a
There we
very
go. We got our
commonly
we
used
got a
term
cosign.
at all.
To be
He's
fair,
probably a watcher. He's probably one of our viewers.
Probably a hate watcher. Probably that one
He's been
person
taking
disliking all our streams.
He's been taking all my advice to the Liberal Party.
I mean, funny is we have like one dislike on so many streams. I feel like someone's following us just to dislike everything slowly. I think it's hilarious. It's like, I'm glad we made you so committed.
to stay humble, to work together, and to never, ever give up. Now,
So you know what's nice between one thing I'll give him credit for is Trudeau would have waited for the applause. He was just going to continue. He wasn't expecting the applause.
I honestly think he does come off as more relatable than Trudeau somehow.
Yeah,
which
but
is
again,
funny, 'cause
how
you would think
low
that he'd
is
be-
that? Did you ever see that South Park episode about the whole joke of
I
the
agree.
bar being in the
Bar
Marianas
is
Trench?
very low.
The bar of standards
yes.
is so low.
Yes.
It's like just,
I agree.
That's,
I agree.
Yeah.
now, I know I'm not the only Liberal in Canada who believes that the Prime Minister and his team let their attention wander from the economy too often. I won't lose focus.
Hell yeah, dude. Throw him under the
Je vais
bus.
rester concentré. Parce que je comprends comment
The bar is
fonctionne
in
He
hell.
didn't listen to you. He
marché.
didn't heed your advice. I gave him advice and he ignored it.
et leurs faiblesses. Quand les marchés sont bien gérés, à quelques chances. Taxes are too high, but the federal government spends too much, but it invests too little. Middle class taxes are too high.
And this is why they should
As are-
they should be worried because isn't it weird to hear a Liberal admitting there's some problems? Isn't it a little weird? Like you got to give him credit for that at least. Or at
Told
least
you they're
he
going to have
knows
to
the
rebrand.
strategy.
It's
He
going to have to
knows
be a
the
whole
strategy.
new direction. Yeah, no,
Whether
it's
or not
good.
it's
It
all
seems
an
like he's
act
got.
is up to you to discern.
So far, he's saying everything right, in my opinion.
And we're
Like
not
if he wants a
yet
good
ready
chance.
A little too right.
to make the AI revolution and the energy transition work for all Canadians. So in the coming days and weeks, I'll propose some big changes and some bold new ideas. And I recognize, I understand, that's not how politics is done these days, when lifelong politicians rely on slogans and slander and sound bites. But once again, these are not ordinary times. Let me tell you one other thing. In these times, sending Pierre Poilievre to negotiate with Donald Trump is the
Do you hear that? Like, that would be so silly, Mark. They just like pompous, like laugh. I don't know. It's just snarky.
I don't know, man. If I had to send somebody, if I owned a company and I had to send somebody to go negotiate with Trump, I don't know if I'd be more comfortable with Polyev than
If I want
sending
someone to
this
stand
guy.
up for Canadian people and
This guy
values,
This guy looks like he's had to do negotiations with people like Trump before. I don't know who Polyev has had to negotiate with before.
I don't know. I don't think that's really what you need, right? Like in this kind of situation, you need a leader.
Experience
You
in
need-
negotiating?
I'm not saying, well, not that way. If you have someone who's inexperienced, at least I'd hope that they'd advise people with them. But it doesn't matter anyways, because regardless what deal they achieve, there's a possibility it's going to have to be reworked as soon as Polyev becomes prime minister. And we'll see what happens, right? Like,
Hey,
I just
Luca,
think,
you
like
know
I
what?
said,
Luca, I'm just so happy that I don't have to be behind Justin Trudeau anymore. Like finally someone else.
he's no
Thank
longer
God.
politically unhoused, guys. It's just like, I don't know.
I'm a
Anyways,
little happier with so
live
far,
feed. Let's get back to it. Sorry, guys.
worst
the direction he's taking is good.
possible idea. I can think of one other politician I might not send. And, it just came to me in the last 24 hours.
What did he say?
I don't know. I missed it. Or
Can you rewind it?
To negotiate with Donald Trump is the worst possible idea. I can think of one other politician I might not send. And,
Is he talking about Trudeau?
I
it just
think
came
he
to
just-
me in the last 24 hours.
all right. I think that's definitely the burn of the day. Sorry for yelling, you guys. I wish I could play the like Ashton Kutcher yelling burn from that 70s show. Because honestly, he did.
We can get
he
a soundboard.
He just took that mud and rubbed it all over Trudeau in a very non-weird way.
He should. He should.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just think it's like
Trudeau cared about the party at all. He would have given Mark Carney his blessing. He would have said, "Yeah, you know what? I deserve it."
yeah,
Just
we
throw me
have to
under the
give
bus.
credit where it's due, regardless if he's gonna make us eat the bugs or if he's gonna just be I don't know. And it was live
I
feed.
still think
sorry.
it's going to be such an uphill battle, but yeah.
À mes collègues libéraux qui m'appuient déjà, merci. Merci à tous. Merci d'être ici. Thank you for being here. Aux libéraux qui pensent appuyer un autre candidat, je comprends et je respecte votre choix. Nous portons le même chandail. Et je vais travailler d'arrache-pied pour gagner votre... I want to say how grateful I am to the many, many liberals.
Yeah, I thought
many
maybe he was referring to
Canadians
Smith.
who aren't all liberals yet.
Oh, maybe that's who he's referring to. Good point there. Yeah, Smith or O'Leary. Yeah, that's a good point too. But I don't know. I took it as Trudeau, honestly, because it's like, I don't know, like maybe Daniel Smith though. He did say given the last 24 hours. I thought maybe just because Trudeau is just, I don't know, just maybe Mark Carney just got on the same page as the rest of Canada there for a second.
Part of the process. The many, many Canadians who have reached out and are already helping and have offered help. And to my fellow liberals, I commit we're all wearing the same sweater. I'll work hard to earn your trust and your partnership. And I'm coming into this match, coming into this game, knowing that we are well behind. But we're getting warmed up.
Yeah, sorry. That makes a lot more sense. That jab was towards Smith. I don't know. To me, I always just think like they're not going to be referring, like the premiers aren't really dragged into federal politics a whole lot. I feel like sometimes unless you're Doug Ford. So I feel like it's I guess I just didn't click in right away.
We're going to head out in that third period, and we're going to win.
They're not going to win. He's going to win. Maybe with leadership.
The Carney and Maxwell Giswell thing seems a little silly. Like the pictures, they don't even really look like they know. Like they look like they might know each other's names, but it's not like they're like talking and hugging and.
No, but they hung with the same people. But it's not a shocker. They're that kind of level.
Exactly.
He's that kind of level of elite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of people they're in pictures with those people, right?
Because that's what happened when I grew up in Laurier. And we were down between the second and third period. And the
hockey
fight back
references
starts
again.
now. We are going to win the general election.
Yeah, I would really like to hear Pierre try to debate economics with Carney. That'd be interesting.
But that's not the point. The point is what we do when we win the general election. And that's to get out there and work for our fellow Canadians every day. It's to get out there and build a strong economy that works for everyone. It's coming together to stand up for Canada against Donald Trump. It's coming together to build an even better Canada. Je sais qu'il faut bâtir des ponts qui nous unissent. Il faut bâtir l'économie la plus forte du G7. Nous sommes une fière nation des bâtisseurs. And now, in these extraordinary times, it's time to build together. Thank you for your support. Let's go do it.
He does have the look of a Canadian prime minister too. Like
The
he
thing
almost
is,
looks a
this
little
is
bit
what
like
the Liberal Party used to
liberal
be.
Brian
Right?
Mulroney.
It's kind of nice to have some sense, some sanity back in our House of Commons a little bit, regardless if you like this guy or not. He's more competent than Trudeau, which is just nice to. It'll be nice to see Pierre challenged more, because I feel like they make it too easy for Pierre, and he's so used to just dunking on him, like just doing. It's basically like Shaquille O'Neal playing with a bunch of hobbits. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's like, basketball, and you know, he like Pierre
Trudeau
is
sounds
Shaquille O'Neal in that situation, and now you have an average sized guy coming into the court.
Trudeau will do speeches where it seems like he'll start a sentence and have no idea where it's going. Like he doesn't know how he's going to end the sentence when he starts it, right? Like this guy, it was so weird watching him start sentences without stuttering and without losing train of like the track of what he was saying. And
doesn't
just
seem like he's made, but this is like Pierre, right? This is what Pierre's been doing the whole time, right?
Yeah,
he's just been being a politician, and then you have Trudeau being a little rich boy, living off daddy's trust fund kind of mentality. And I just think it's, you know, Mark Carney, you can say he's not the same cut as Trudeau. He's definitely the same class of elite for sure, but he's not as dumb. And
Luca,
that's what's scary.
I don't know why you're projecting beliefs onto me, because I didn't say. I've literally said I think Pierre's still going to probably win. Like I don't think Carney's got an easy battle ahead of him, right? I think that Carney and Pierre talking about economics, I would just be curious to know how much Pierre actually knows.
Well, even
how much of it is just surface level.
Even Vasi Capello asked that one question to the Liberals. She's like, well, how do you think everyone's jumping ship because they know they can't win this election, or it's an unwinnable election? Like she called it unwinnable, right? Because it doesn't matter how good you are. Like you're not going to be able to win this. And like I said, Pierre would have to be at a Diddy party to derail his train. And even then, you might be able to brush it off. You know what I mean?
And it's Luca, I would not bet money on this horse at all. I do not think that this is going to be an easy battle or like.
But in terms of Liberal leadership, do you think he's going to beat Freeland? Do you think he'll beat Freeland, or do you think Freeland will concede?
For the leadership, I think he's got this in the bag.
You think
so? I think that this is. Yeah, I don't even know if I feel like Freeland shouldn't even run.
So even
like
regardless of what we want, it sounds like he's going to be our prime minister for 4 to 6 weeks. At least.
The only thing that it would do good for Freeland to run was that it would make him look more like an outsider, and like there was some kind of push to keep him out of the party. That's the only advantage there would be there, because I don't think Chrystia Freeland stands a chance. Yeah, that's how I'm on it, how I feel about it, Kane. I just want to see like proper liberal opposition, someone who actually knows what they're talking about, has beliefs that are backed up by some logic, you know? Like, I don't think that Trudeau could actually justify any of the positions that he holds. And it's
Good afternoon, Mr. Carney. Ashley Burke, CBC News. You said this week that you're an outsider, but you've been offering the Liberals support advice for years. How can you explain how you're any different?
Oh, well, there's a pretty big difference between being a member of the cabinet, a member of the caucus, the prime minister himself, and being someone who occasionally their advice is asked. Look, the prime minister of the United Kingdom, the president of France, other leaders ask for my advice from time to time. I've provided advice to this government I'm not going to reveal which advice has been followed and which hasn't. And
See that right there? That's what I mean,
There he
right?
goes.
That's
There
what I
he is.
mean. Is like he has to define
doing
that, right? He has to define that. See you later, Robin. Thanks for tuning in as always. One of our regular listeners
thanks.
there. Thank you. And she's still listening. She's just not going to be chatting anymore. But yeah, but this is what I mean, right? Is that like he's separating himself is his best strategy for sure. But right there is what advice did they follow? What did they not follow? Right? That's what I want to know. And I wish there was some record of that. And I wish we could know what advice he gave them they followed and what advice he gave them that they didn't follow.
He's probably going to get pushed on those questions. He might reveal a little bit more. I feel like all holds are off now.
He needs
all
to,
punches
honestly, at this point.
He can't pull any punches at this point.
the vast majority of the decisions that the government has taken over the years, I found out when they were announced. That's different for those who are, of course, members of cabinet and the caucus.
You've never been a politician. How can you win a fight against Pierre Poilievre?
Well, there's a couple. It starts. I think it starts with the fact
This is the first time I've heard him
these
stammer
aren't
at
normal
all.
times, and part of the reason how we've ended up in these times is because of certain type of politician perfecting their art, which is focused on slogans, slander, sound bites, attacking the institutions at the core of our economies, exploiting vulnerabilities for other ends. And we can't afford that. We can't afford that. First off, it's not Canadian. It's not the way we are. But secondly, we're in a crisis with an exclamation point put by the Trump tariffs, but we have deeper underlying problems which require us, in my judgment, as an outsider, as someone who's not been a lifelong politician, as someone who's gained tremendous.
I just feel like the governor of the Bank of Canada, you're essentially, yeah, you're a banker, but you're also a public figure bordering on a politician at the same time. You're not necessarily a public, you kind of are even a public servant at a point, aren't you really? Or you're a servant of the government? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can't say you're an outsider
You're
of
an employee.
politics. You're not an outsider of
You're an
politics.
employee of the bank.
Really? The governor of the Bank of Canada is an employee of the bank?
It's a bank.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess you're right. Damn it.
Yeah.
World just shattered. Yeah, I don't know.
Experience, because of where I started here is where I've gained that experience. In my judgment, it's a time to come together and to build as a country. You can't do that when you're insulting more than half of it.
Monsieur Carney en français, Emmanuel Prestoret, Radio-Canada. Allez-vous éliminer la tarification sur le carbone pour les consommateurs?
Alors,
Czar, I don't know how you could think he's 100% responsible for
à mon
every
avis,
decision
il
Trudeau
faut
made. That doesn't really,
le pouvoir
I don't
d'achat.
know.
I'm going to
doesn't really follow.
And honestly, given Trudeau's MO, it sounds like he would not listen to all the advice. He'd listen to the advice he liked and the stuff he didn't like. It sounds like. So
Yeah.
there is a chance, but it doesn't change his ideology and his political values for me. It doesn't change that, right? It just means he's not some greasy
He's not gonna get rid of the
vampire that's trying to suck
virus.
your blood out or something. I don't know. Like it's, shocking. Sorry, guys, but he is not a vampire technically.
Look, I've said for a long time that if you were going to take out the carbon tax, you should replace it with something that is at least, if not more, effective. And by effective, it's not just having the same impact in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but it's making our companies more competitive, it's creating jobs, it's ensuring that Canadian households are made whole in terms of their finances. Because perception may be that
Finances.
it takes out more than the rebate provides, but reality is different. And Canadians will miss that money. So you need a comprehensive approach. You need a comprehensive plan, not just a soundbite that fits on a lectern. And that, again, is the difference between me and some others. I don't do a little leak. I don't do a soundbite. I do a comprehensive plan that addresses all the aspects, and you'll see that in the coming weeks.
Si on veut pas un soundbite, on peut une réponse. Oui ou non, allez-vous éliminer la taxe carbone?
The thing is, he's just trying to make it, because of the way Pierre communicates, he's trying to be like reductive, like, oh, you're too simple. Like, it's like, no, Pierre's just trying to be like clear and concise
no.
to everybody. I get the feeling of.
It's true,
the
though, that
slogans, like the thing is like, I just don't take it as like cheap. You know what I mean? I don't see it that way. I see it as that's what politics
Slogans
was for a
are
long
good.
time, wasn't it? That's always what like to me, it's like that. Like, they're almost like just
People
demonizing
like
him for.
simple.
Well, it's not even simple.
People
It's
like it
just
when
like
things are
it's
simple.
complicated problems, right?
Yeah, but the slogan is what he's trying to knock down. But slogans are good at they're effective at
But
communicating. Right?
Great Dominion made a good point. He's never won elected office. He's not a politician in that sense. So that's a good idea. He's a public figure, but not a politician. I think me and Salt came to that agreement the other night on the phone too. But he is in the public eye, been in the public eye for a long time. So to me, to say he's a complete outsider, I just don't quite see that. I see it as like you're a lifelong liberal, like you're just more of like the Crunchian era of liberals, right? Which I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, maybe I'm wrong. I was really young at that time, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about in that section. But to me, this is what liberals probably used to be, and we've lost that with Trudeau. And these guys didn't sell very well when Harper came into office, and Harper, you know, was in office for quite a long time. I think he was subjected to Canada just get sick of you eventually. And eventually every misdeed you've done, it gets kept on a scorecard, right? And eventually that scorecard gets so big, people just want a new leader, right? That happens over time. People are trying to say that's what's happened with Trudeau, but I feel like we hit that point, like in his second term, we hit that point. It's just, it didn't really, not really take an effect because it kind of blindsided the last election. I feel like blindsided a lot of Canadians and took advantage of the fact we didn't really know what was going on fully. We didn't know the depth of the depths of ArriveCan and all these other scandals and all this other corruption that was going on, right? And the whole other Randy scandal, all that hadn't come out yet, right? Like that all came out after, but it already happened, right? So they knew this stuff was taking place, right? In 2019, 2020. And then I feel like they rushed that election because they wanted to have an election before the public caught on. And look what happened in 2022. His popularity started to slip in the polls.
Well,
by 2023, he's the most unpopular prime minister ever. And then by now, he's like even worse, right? He's dropped even further. But anyways, we'll get back to the live feed here. Sorry, guys.
Vous allez remplacer si jamais vous les
With Global News, appreciating that you hope to take the leadership and win in the next general election, but if it doesn't go your way, are you prepared to stay on long term, rebuild the party if necessary, and take another run at it?
Yeah, well, first thing, I need to become an MP, and I will be making a commitment to those constituents to serve them, whatever happens in the election. I am making a commitment. I've made a commitment to my colleagues here, and I'm touched that so many of them have come from 4 different provinces, and the Premier from the Yukon in show of support. I've made a commitment to them about the commitment, not just in many of our conversations, and conversations with many, many Liberals and other MPs, has been first and foremost about what we can do for Canadians. But very much after that,
I think Brexit caused a lot of issues for Britain, and he was brought in afterwards to try and like contain the mess. So I mean, it seems a little silly to say that he caused any of the issues there, because I mean, it's like saying the janitor created the mess.
No, but I think Two Cents has a pretty good point here.
The janitor's here every time there's stuff spilled on the floor. The janitor's here. I'm starting to think he's to blame for all this. You know.
Well, you can say that. I get that, but 2 cents in the chat. It said he watches UK Parliament and saw him trying to squirm out of a bunch of money. So I think what we should do is we'll make a point maybe on another stream to review some of that footage and see how he conducted himself in that. We should be able to access
you think he stole the money
footage. Well, I don't know what happened. I'm curious. I have no idea about that situation. We should know.
Seems a little.
If someone who's involved in other countries' politics is getting involved in our politics now, in a way like that, it's like there might be a bit of a track record we can dig up from the UK. That's a good point. So I think everyone should look into that. His history that he had with the UK Bank of England, see how that went. For yourself, look into it yourself. Don't take Saul's opinion. Don't take my opinion. Don't take anyone in the chat's opinion.
We reinforce how we build the Liberal Party for the long term because of the good it can do. And that's very much part of the commitment that I'm making today.
And your friend Chrystia Freeland plans to enter this leadership race. Have you spoken with her in recent weeks? And why should party members choose you over her?
Well,
Terry, he started right after Brexit. They brought him in.
Sorry, they're just asking him why people should choose him over Freeland, and I just want to get the answer here.
To choose me, I'm going to make a positive case to choose me. I started to do that today. Part and parcel of that, and it goes to the question from Radio Canada, part and parcel of that is going to be being very clear about what's going to change if I become leader, what policies will change. If I become leader, how do we better serve Canadians? And then members will be able to make a choice. To be clear, this leadership, from my perspective, and maybe it's because I'm not a lifelong politician, But my view is it's time for a positive, forward agenda that's going to build this country. That's what I'm going to put out. I will compete on the merits of that, the merits of my experience. I'll learn from my colleagues and move forward. And the membership of the Liberal Party, which I hope is growing as we speak, I expect is growing as we speak.
Yeah, he was the governor of the Bank of England before Brexit, 2013 to 2020.
And because it's the membership, it will be the right decision.
Thank you.
Hi there, Jeremy Thompson with the CTV Edmonton. If you win the leadership, you'll need a seat. We're in Edmonton. Are you planning on running, in the West, in Alberta, in Edmonton specifically?
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm beginning to look at where those options are. I have a strong commitment, obviously, to this city, to this community, to this province, and to the country. So, we'll see in the coming weeks. And what's important to me, obviously, it's important to me in a narrow sense to find.
Yeah, sorry guys, I read it after.
To play that role. But what's important to me is that we have the strongest slate of candidates for the Liberal Party across Canada.
And a question for my national colleagues, going back to sort of how this all began, this leadership process all began, wondering, did Prime Minister Trudeau ask you to replace Chrystia Freeland as finance minister last month?
Well, what the Prime Minister looked to do and was to bring together, let's put the context first. We have the crisis which starts with President Trump's threat, which still hangs over us, this threat of the 25% tariffs. And in response to that crisis, the Prime Minister looked to reinforce his team to address it. So he approached me, he approached some other people. They can speak for themselves. Some of it's in the media, but and the intention was to reinforce the team, not change the team, if you will. So we had discussions about various roles. I was minded to do it as a member of the team. In the end, the team didn't come together for reasons that we know. We still have the crisis. There's still a need to stand up, and I'm standing up because of that. Monsieur.
Hi, Sean Amato with City News. On the Trump tariffs, Alberta is not on board with the rest of Canada about how we should deal with that. How would you deal with that? What do you make of Alberta abstaining from signing that letter?
Can I just check one thing? City News, I was on my, I was on the elliptical this morning and didn't have headphones. And was it you or the colleague who was going around with my picture and asking people if they...
Yes, sir. That was me.
Look at him, Pierre Poilieving, a reporter here. Look, see what he's doing. He's taking Pierre Poiliev's strategy here. He's challenging a reporter. When has Trudeau ever done that? Besides, he just removes him from the room.
Well, he was watching the news. He's calling him out on something that he saw earlier that day, but he's not deriding him. He's laughing at the joke because he's saying he was asking people were being asked if they knew who he was. And there isn't a lot of name recognition or face recognition with him, right? He's a brand new face. Most people don't know who he is.
Did anyone know who I was?
No.
Oh, that's what he's asking about.
Somebody thought your name was
I
Mark.
thought he was talking about one of the hit pieces because I think CP24. One of them did a bit of a hit piece.
I thought the closest we got was Mike.
Yes, sir.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I can roll with that. But well, thank you though for the efforts and thanks for going back to St. FX. Look, this is a very serious situation. First point. Secondly, is a very delicate situation. We need to stand up for Canada. We need to stand up for Canada. All of us need to stand up for Canada. We need to be united. I've done a lot of negotiation over the years. I've dealt with President Trump in a different setting when he was previously president. He's a negotiator. He's transactional. In a negotiation, you need to do a few things. One, you
know what's so crazy? Kevin O'Leary said the same thing.
need to have the best outside option. So if you don't get what you want in that negotiation, you can walk away. How you get that best outside option in this case is you build the strongest economy here, right here in Canada. And that's what we're proposing. The second thing you do in a negotiation is you don't show your cards. It's an observation. Doug Ford made this observation. Jean Charest made this observation. I'm making this observation. You don't take cards off the table. You stay united. And that's what we need to do. I was pleased to see 12 of the third team leaders yesterday come together in that approach and that spirit, and I hope that with time, all of them will be there. But let me say one last thing, which we have cards, and some are good cards, and some are less good cards. So let's play our strongest card, and our strongest card is to be united and to credibly build the strongest economy, because in the end, this is going to hurt them. This is going to hurt them, and what they're doing to other allies is going to hurt them. So let's be strong here and ride it out. Ce qui est clair, dans une négociation, il faut plus que content, mais juste tried my best to express that. Last time I lived in look, it was when I lived full time. Would have been full time was 18 when I was in high school, and I won a scholarship from the Alberta government to go to university and play hockey. But I always came back in the summers. My parents moved in the late 90s from Edmonton. I have a number of friends who were here. I was touched by that I used to play hockey with, go to high school with, and beyond who are here. So I've got good ties in Edmonton. I have ties across the country. I will run as an MP somewhere, but I'm running for Prime Minister. I'm running for Prime Minister of all of Canada.
Oh, so he's not even, okay. So I misunderstood the announcement. So he's in Edmonton giving the announcement, but he's not announcing. Okay, I get what he's saying. So he hasn't said where he's
running
as
an MP, yeah.
He doesn't know where though, but we don't know where his riding is going to be yet, do we? That's what I was trying to figure out. That's what I thought earlier. I misunderstood one of the articles earlier I read. It's probably why they took it down, because they ended up taking it down. Maybe it was a mistake or something.
Well, the Conservatives were early on the attack, just responding to the chat here a little bit. They were early because they knew that he was probably their strongest candidate. He was their most likely chance at any kind of recovery after what Trudeau did, right? Like they were expecting it earlier too.
And I just gotta say one thing: like, if you're expecting a textbook, like this is kind of the wrong show for you. What we're doing here is we're learning, we're researching live, real time with you guys, analyzing what's going on. Right? It's not about like, you know, we're not trying to be an encyclopedia here. But yeah, if you guys have questions, if we say something wrong, fact check us, let us know.
Last question, dernière question.
Carrie Tate, Globe and Mail. Thank you for taking our questions. You're a senior executive at Brookfield, and yet your compensation has not been disclosed. Can you tell us what your compensation over the past 3 years has been, and how you will manage potential conflicts of interest as you enter politics?
Okay, very simple. I am no longer a senior executive at Brookfield. I am no longer a senior executive at Bloomberg. I am no longer on the board of Stripe. I am no longer on the board of PIMCO. I am no longer on the board of any of my commercial activities. I am no longer the UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance. So all of those roles, I resigned today. Okay, just to be clear, I resigned all my roles, cut all my ties. I am all in.
I respect that.
I am all in this fight, because
so he's fully on board, eh?
Fundamentally important. And what I'm bringing from those experiences and the previous experiences, Bank of Canada, Bank of England, fighting the financial crisis, helping to fix the global system, what I'm bringing from those is to help Canada through this immediate crisis, but really to build the strongest economy in the G7. Thank you very much.
Do you have lingering conflicts of interest that you will have to manage?
Oh, look, I mean, we have a very robust, to be clear, we have a very robust conflict of interest system, rightly so, and ethics standards for the Government of Canada. As soon as I merit being part of that process. Remember, I'm a citizen that is running for a position. I'm a citizen who will be putting himself forward to become an MP.
He's a business insider, Terry, not a political insider
of the government. Then
it's arguably the same thing at this point,
and disposals and other requirements come into place, and I will absolutely proactively engage and follow them. I think the Ethics Commissioner and the Conflict of Interest Commissioners and their offices are pretty fully occupied with those that they have to deal with who are currently in those positions. But I'll be the first there, and it'll be dealt with, and it'll be dealt with in a straightforward way.
But look, even as a candidate, what are you doing?
Well, I just told you. I literally just told you. I have resigned all my positions. I resigned all my positions, full stop, all in for Canada. Thank you very much.